Okay, so picture this guy climbs up a clock tower and just starts shooting at people below.
Oh, wow.
Horrible, right? But what if I told you that later they found a tumor pressing on that part of his brain? Like the amygdala, the part that controls fear and aggression?
Yeah.
Does that, like, change how you see what he did?
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a real case.
Yeah.
Happened back in '66 at University of Texas.
Right.
And it makes you ask some tough questions about justice, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
And Amanda Knox actually talks about stuff like this
Oh, yeah.
in an interview on the You're Wrong About podcast.
That's right. You sent that in. Wanted to really dig into these ideas about justice, and it's super interesting. Knox went through a lot herself.
Yeah.
You know, wrongly convicted for a crime.
In Italy, right.
Yep.
Yeah, and that experience really messed with her view of the justice system.
Makes sense.
She says a lot of what we believe about justice, particularly here in the U.S., is built on this idea of free will. Like, people make choices and they deserve whatever they get.
Wheat based on those choices.
Yeah.
But what if our choices aren't as free as we think they are?
That's what's so creepy about that clock tower shooter, Charles Whitman.
Yeah.
If a tumor can, like, totally change how someone acts,
Right.
where does that leave free will? And if we start to doubt free will, then our whole justice system, which is, like, all about punishment,
Yeah.
starts to fall apart.
It does.
Yeah.
And Knox wants us to think about other ways of doing things.
Okay.
One she talks about is restorative justice.
Okay.
It's about fixing the harm done to victims
Okay.
and getting them involved in holding the offender accountable.
Gotcha.
It's about helping people get better, not just punishing them.
That sounds good in theory, but I bet it's not always easy to actually do it.
Yeah.
Like, what about when something really terrible happens and forgiveness feels impossible?
Right.
Or when the person who did it isn't sorry or doesn't want to participate?
Those are all good points, and restorative justice isn't a perfect solution.
Right. It takes a lot of time resources, and everyone involved has to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
And Knox says it often fails because we don't give it what it needs to really work.
So it's like we say we want a nicer approach,
Yeah.
but we're not actually putting our money where our mouth is.
Sadly, that's often true. And this brings us to something else. Knox talks about the Alford plea.
Right, the Alford plea. This one always confuses me.
Yeah.
Can you remind me how that works?
Basically, it's when someone says they're guilty, even though they say they didn't do it.
Wait, so they're saying they're innocent but pleading guilty?
Yeah.
Why would anyone do that?
It's usually like a strategy, you know?
Okay,
They might figure the evidence is so strong they'll probably get convicted anyway.
I see.
And by taking the Alford plea, they can maybe get a shorter sentence or even avoid the death penalty.
So it's a way to minimize the damage, even if it means saying you did something you didn't do.
Exactly. And it brings up some serious questions about whether the justice system is about finding the truth or just getting a conviction.
It makes you wonder who the system is really working for sometimes.
Right. That's something Knox keeps coming back to, and it's really powerful when you think about the Brock Turner case.
Oh yeah, the Stanford swimmer.
Right.
That case made a lot of people angry.
It did. A lot of folks thought his sentence was way too light, considering what he did. And Knox has an interesting take on why people were so mad.
What's that?
She says we were so outraged because we hardly ever see mercy in a system that's usually so harsh and unforgiving.
So it wasn't just about the sentence itself, but about the whole system that tends to dehumanize people,
Exactly.
especially those convicted of crimes.
The Brock Turner case was unusual. The system showed a little bit of humanity, and it made us uneasy because it showed how unequal justice can be.
That's a really good point. It makes you wonder if we were mad at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we want a system that's more compassionate and understanding?
Yeah, even for people who've done awful things.
Yeah.
That's a good question to think about. And it leads back to Knox's main argument.
Okay.
We need to move past just punishing wrongdoing.
Okay.
We need to ask, how did this person end up like this?
Right.
What happened in their life? And what can we do to fix the things in society that contribute to crime in the first place?
Yeah.
It's a big shift in how we think. But Knox says it's crucial if we want a truly just and compassionate society. Yeah, it's tough to change how we see things, but Knox says it's really important. If we want a society that's truly fair and caring.
It makes you think about, like, everything that goes into someone's life. You know,
Right.
we're so focused on, like, personal responsibility. But what about, like, poverty, bad schools,
Yeah.
racism?
Yeah.
All those things that affect people's lives.
That's exactly what Knox is getting at. She wants us to see the bigger picture, like how connected we all are and how the choices we make as a society impact everyone.
It seems like our system now is more about punishing people than fixing those bigger problems. We have more people in prison than any other country.
It's true.
But it doesn't feel like we're any safer.
It's something to think about, isn't it? Makes you wonder, what's the point of our justice system?
Yeah.
Is it just about revenge?
Right.
Locking people up and forgetting about them? Or should it be about helping them change their lives?
Right.
And become good members of society?
Which brings us back to restorative justice.
Yeah.
If we focused more on healing and fixing the things that cause crime,
Right.
wouldn't that be a better way?
A lot of people think so, but it means changing how we think.
Yeah.
It's about seeing people not just for the worst things they've done, but for their potential to grow and be better.
And it's about realizing that real justice is more than just holding individuals accountable.
Right.
It's about changing the system itself. We need to fix the inequality and unfairness that lead to crime in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about investing in communities, not just prisons. It's about making sure everyone has access to good education, healthcare, and job opportunities. It's about creating a world where everyone has a chance to thrive, not just survive.
That's a powerful idea, but it feels like we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how different our justice system treats people. People of color are way more likely to end up in prison.
Yeah.
And they often get harsher sentences than white people for the same crimes.
You're right. The system is far from perfect.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the anger over Brock Turner's sentence.
Yeah.
Remember, Knox said our anger wasn't just about the light sentence, but about the fact that people without privilege rarely get that kind of leniency.
It's like we're okay with a system that's harsh and mean.
Yeah.
As long as it's not happening to people like us.
Yeah, and that's a hard truth for a lot of us to face.
It is.
It makes us look at our own biases and how we contribute to a system that's unfair.
So what do we do?
Yeah.
How do we start to change these deep-seated systems of inequality?
I think it starts with being aware. We need to learn about the problems with our current system and the other ways of doing things. We need to talk honestly about race, class, and privilege.
Right.
And we need to support the people and groups who are working to make things more just and equal.
So it's about being active, not just watching from the sidelines.
Exactly. It's about challenging how things are and demanding better from our leaders. It's about voting for policies that promote fairness and equality.
Right.
And it's about looking at ourselves and how we contribute to the problem.
Yeah, it sounds like a big job, but also a really important one.
It is. But I think we can change things if we're willing to do the hard work. Remember that quote from Clarence Darrow we talked about? He said, "Every human life is a tapestry woven from countless threads of experience, genetics, circumstance."
Right.
None of us are solely responsible for who we become.
And that doesn't mean we shouldn't hold people responsible for what they do right.
Of course not.
But it does mean trying to understand them even if they've done terrible things.
Exactly. And it means understanding that real justice isn't just about punishing people. It's about addressing the root causes of their actions.
Yeah, that really resonates with me.
It's a tough message, but ultimately I think it's a message of hope.
Yeah, it feels like we've been taught to see everything as black and white, good or bad, deserving or not deserving. But real life is way more complicated than that.
Totally. It's like that tapestry Darrow was talking about. Every life is made up of so many different things. Genes, how you were raised, trauma, chances, you had pressure from society.
Right.
It all shapes who we are and what we do.
And that doesn't mean people shouldn't be accountable for their actions.
No, of course not.
But it does mean approaching justice with more kindness and understanding.
Exactly. Punishment by itself doesn't fix those complicated social issues. It's about addressing the root problems, helping people change, and creating a system that actually helps people, not just punishes them.
This conversation has really changed how I think about justice.
I'm glad.
It's not just about getting even. It's about making a world where everyone can heal and grow and contribute.
That's a great way to put it. It's about restorative justice.
Right.
Recognizing that we're all connected and realizing that real justice means looking beyond the courts.
Yeah.
And fixing the things in society that create crime.
It's a big job, but it feels like we have to do it.
It is a big job, but I think it's possible. It starts with each of us questioning what we believe, looking at our own biases, and doing the work.
Yeah.
Both on our own and together.
So what does all this mean for our listeners? What can we do in our everyday lives to make society more just?
Well, first we can learn more,
Okay.
read books, listen to podcasts, talk to people with different viewpoints.
We can support groups working to change the justice system. We can volunteer or donate to important causes.
And most importantly, we can talk openly and honestly with our family and friends,
Yeah.
with our communities. We can challenge the way things are and demand better from our leaders.
We can vote for policies that promote fairness and equality.
Right.
We can be the change we want to see.
It all starts with each of us taking responsibility for building a more just and caring world.
This deep dive into justice has been really eye-opening.
Yeah,
I'll be thinking about these ideas for a long time.
me too. It's a conversation that never really ends.
If you, our listener, found this exploration of justice as thought-provoking as we did, you'll love what we do here on The Deep Dive.
We explore all sorts of complex and fascinating topics.
Right.
Always trying to challenge assumptions, spark new ideas, and help you understand the world better.
So hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey of discovery.
And remember, true justice isn't about revenge. It's about understanding, restoration, and creating a world where everyone has the chance to be their best selves.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll
Yeah.
see you next time.